The final video in Word Unit D, which is going to be about inserting clip art. And this is going to be over the information on pages Word 94 and 95. Clip art is a collection of graphic images that you can insert into a document. Clip art images are stored in the clip organizer, which is a library of all the clips. Media files such as graphics, photographs, sounds, movies, and animations, all that come with Word, and they're free for you to have on there. It comes automatically with your program. You can add a clip to the document using the clip art command on the Insert tab. And once you insert a clip art image, you can wrap text around it, resize it, enhance it, or you can even move it to a different location. So let's take a look at step 1 on page Word 94, in which we're going to go to our View tab up here, and we're going to click on the Page Width button. So this will get our document a little bit bigger for us. And then it tells us that we're going to scroll to the top of page 2 and place our insertion point before the second paragraph. So there's page 1 and here's page 2. And it tells us that we want to place our insertion point before the second body paragraph. So here's our first body paragraph that has the drop cap to it. So we're going to put it right here for that second body paragraph, which begins with. Then we're going to click on our Insert tab. Then we're going to click on the Clip Art button on there. So we see that on here on our Illustrations group, we're going to click on Clip Art. And what this does is that this is going to open up the Clip Art task pane. And you're going to use this task pane over here to search for your clips that are related to a keyword. Now, if you're working with an active internet connection, you can search results with included clips from the Microsoft Office Online website. Step 2 tells us that we're going to select the text in the Search for text box. So right up here you can select this, and it should probably be blank or have the last keyword that was searched for. So we're going to select the text that's in there if necessary, and we're going to type in the word pagoda. And then next, it tells us to click the Search In list arrow. So here we have the Search In, and here's the list arrow. And you'll notice that typically, hopefully it should have checked everywhere. But you have your collections, the Office collections, and also everything that's on the internet for Microsoft Office. And we want to make sure that this everywhere has been checked. And when you click on that, it should say All Collections. Then of course the results should be, we're going to click on that list arrow on there, and we want to make sure that all media types are selected. You can see that you can choose clip art, photographs, movies, and sound on there. And I know movies and sound sounds a little bit interesting to take a look at for a Word document, but those are excellent when you start using PowerPoint. And it should be all media file types. Once we have that, we want to click on this Go button up here. And what that's going to do is that's going to give us our results down here. And so any clips that include the keyword pagoda appear in this clip art task pane over here. Step 3, it tells us that we want to point to the clip on here that we may have to, it's this second column here, and it's this one right here. It should say Balloons and Buildings. That's the one that we want. Now, of course, if you don't have that clip art on there, or if your internet connection is down on there, you can use a keyword called Asia, and you can get something that's very similar to it on there. But that's what we want to point to. We want to point to this clip art right here. It has a pagoda in the background and has these little cherry blossoms here. So in my example, this is the one right here. It's in the second column, third row. And then we're going to click on this list arrow that appears next to it, because you'll notice that when I move my mouse pointer, you see the images. But when you put your mouse pointer over it, there is a list arrow. We're going to click on that list arrow. Then next, we're going to click on the word Insert. And then it's going to take the image on here, and it's going to insert it into our Word document. It's going to take just a second here to download the file, and to upload, and then to upload it and install it into our Word document. And there we go. We see that the picture has now been placed into our Word document. Now the clip is inserted into the location of the insertion point. When the graphic is selected, you'll notice that it has these sizing handles that surround it there, and the active tab will change to the Picture Tools Format tab, which you see that over here. It's kind of a red tab on there. This tab contains the commands used to adjust, enhance, arrange, and size the graphics. And until you apply text wrapping to a graphic, it is part of the line text which it was inserted. And that's what we call an inline graphic, because you notice that if we scroll up a little bit, there's the previous paragraph, and then we have our image, and then here's the next paragraph right there. So that's an inline graphic. You know, we can't have text go around this image at this point in time. Now if we want to move the graphic independently of the text, because if I would try to move this now, it's going to go right wherever I put it at. You know, it's going to make the text move around it. But it's still going to be in the columns though. But to move the graphic independently of text, you must wrap the text around it to make it what we call a floating graphic, which can be moved anywhere on the page. Because if I would try to move this, it would just move my text around, and it would still be in line with the text. On step 4 on page Word 94, we're going to be clicking the position button in the Arrange group. So we're going to go over here to our Arrange group. This is in the Picture Tools Format tab, and we click on Position. And currently we are in line with text. However, we want to click on Position in Middle Right with Square Text Wrapping. So we need to go down here with Text Wrapping, and here is Position in Middle Center. But we want this in Position in Middle Right with Square Text Wrapping. It's this one right here. So we click on that. And now the photo has moved to the middle right side of the page, and you'll notice that the text is wrapping around it. It looks really similar right now to the inline text, but this has been changed ever so slightly. Now, the white circles that appear on the square edges of the graphic are what we call the sizing handles, and you can make this bigger or smaller just by clicking and dragging on the sizing handles. You'll notice that your mouse pointer turns into a double-headed arrow. If you would click and drag on those, then that would make the picture bigger if you drag it outwards, or make it smaller if you drag it inwards. On step 5, it tells us that we're going to click the Shape Width Up arrow in the Size group. So right up here we have our Size group, and we have there's our crop, here's our height, and here's our width. Right now it's 3.3, but we want to click on the up arrow here to make this 3.8. And you'll now notice that the picture is moving and the text is wrapping around it. So you see that we want this to be 3.8 inches. And this picture has broken free of the columns and has now moved the text around it. On step 6, it tells us that we want to scroll to the top of page 2. So we see here that we want to see our heading here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to position the pointer over the graphic. So we're going to put our mouse pointer over here, and you'll notice it turns into a four-headed arrow with a mouse pointer. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag this graphic up and to the left so it's centered on the page, and it's just under the second line of text. So if I click on this and drag this up, we're going to make sure it's roughly centered, just kind of judge on there how it is. And then release your mouse button, because what you just seen there is what we call a faded image on there, or a floating graphic. We're taking that floating graphic and it's showing just a faded image of it to show you where it's going to be at. But we want to make sure that it's underneath the second line of text. So now the graphic has been moved up and it's roughly centered between the margins. On step 7, we're going to click on the Position button once again in our Arrange group, and we're going to choose the More Layout Options. And what this opens up is the Advanced dialog box, which is going to allow you to position a graphic using precise measurements. And this is where we're going to get a little bit more specific here. So once we have that, it tells us that we want to click on the Picture Position tab if it's not selected already. So this is your tab that you need to be on. And then we want to click on the Alignment Option button in the horizontal section. So here we have our vertical, And notice that right now, or here's our horizontal, and notice it's right now in an absolute position. But we want to click on this option button right here. And this is going to take it from exactly where it's at, and we're going to align this centered. Because right now, notice it says alignment to the left relative to the margin, so it's going to be aligned to the left. But we want to have this picture perfectly centered in the middle of the page, as far as where it's currently at. So we click on the list arrow here, we choose centered, and then we're going to click on OK. And then you get to see that the picture may move a little bit. It may be right there, depending on how good your adjustment of your eyesight is seeing if it's perfectly in the middle or not. But this will make it perfectly in the middle. Of course, also, if you ever wanted to, you could crop a graphic or an image to change its scale using precise measurements. And that's where you would use this crop tool up here in the size group. On step 8, it tells us that we're going to click the More button in the Picture Styles group. So notice that here we have all these different picture styles. We're going to click on the More button on here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select the Soft Edge Oval Picture style. So we can take a look here and we see that there's some different ovals. And on this one right here, that is the Soft Edge Oval, and it will give you a live preview. And that's the one we want to choose, the Soft Edge Oval. So notice that our picture is still square, but it only shows an oval at the middle part. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to fill in these blank areas, because notice this kind of makes it look a little bit awkward because our picture is still rectangular or still kind of square shaped. However, we have all this white space that we need to fill in. So what we're going to do now is click the Text Wrapping button, and that is in the Arrange group. It's next to our Position button. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this tight. So we're going to select Tight, and now you'll take a look and notice that all the text comes in around the picture. And that picture style has been applied on there, and now the text is wrapped in tight to the actual oval or the visible part of the image. Next, we're going to go ahead and click on our View tab, and then we're going to go to 2 pages, and we're going to take a look at our document. And notice how this is a vast improvement from where it once was on there, because now we have different sections, the different columns, we have clip art in there, we have a table. It looks much more professional. This looks like something that you might get in the mail, or something that looks like a professional has done, and you've been able to complete this. Once you've taken a look at all 4 pages on there, you can go ahead and click on the Page Width button. That's going to take you back there. And then what we're going to do is you need to press the Control and End key. Now, earlier we've been pressing Control Home to get us back up to the top of the document. The Control End key will actually take you to the bottom of the document. So there's another keyboard shortcut that is very useful on there. Now, if you did take a look at your document, and if page 3 is a blank page or contains text that's continuing from page 2, you need to adjust your graphic. However, we have 4 pages on here, so we're okay in this case. So next, what we want to do is we want to hit our Enter key, and then we're going to type in your name, and then you want to go ahead and save your changes. Now you can go ahead and upload this to the course sites, and you have completed the walkthrough. And that concludes the video series for Word Unit D.